difference between President Trump and other presidents is his transparency. No political correctness, no talking out of both sides of his mouth, but instead a hard-nosed, what you see is what you get, successful negotiator. But no, rather than applaud him for that transparency, the president's haters would rather take him down, preferring to get in the way of our economic success and international strength. Their hatred of this man is so all-consuming that they would rather obstruct and resist, dooming us to failure because they do not like his transparency. Now, I want to be clear. It's not the transparency, but the hatred, so intense that puts us in danger. Hatred like this. Did you notice how he had to read everything, that the only time this guy could lift his eyes off the page was to curse? And then there's Chelsea Handler, who just this week weaponized a person's alleged sexual preference by tweeting something aimed at President Trump and a Republican senator in that DACA meeting. It was so vile and homophobic that I won't lower myself to show it to you. And by the way, since when do sexual preferences matter to Hollywood? And Sean Penn. This week, he called the president an enemy of the state and an enemy of mankind. Somewhat screwed up, since he immortalized Hugo Chavez, the Venezuelan dictator, accused of so many human rights violations. Hey, Sean, when'd you stop beating your wife? That's a rhetorical question, of course. These Hollywood celebrities are so full of hate, they would rather our nation fail so that they can blame it on the president. These Hollywood hypocrites, now trying to be the voices of moral indignity, were complicit in their silence of the Harvey Weinstein casting couch and the sexual predatory behavior, the open secret in this den of iniquity. And by the way, what makes their opinions so valuable? These actors have little, if any, responsibility, liability, or consequence for their performances. They have a bloated sense of self-worth compared to us, who might be lucky enough to be at the same pay scale. Their megaphones are in no way commensurate with their morality or their contributions to society. We're real people, and real people in the real world do not get a redo. 20 takes every day to make something right. In short, actors are nothing more than people pretending to be other people. My own daughter took acting lessons for almost a decade. When at 16, she announced she did not want to act. Stunned, I said, why? She said, I don't want to say something that someone else wants me to say. I want the words that come out of my mouth to be mine. That from a 16-year-old. And yet these people were silent. These Hollywood hypocrites, when their own ideologue was in office. Where was their outrage when Barack Obama was sending millions of dollars to Iran on unmarked pallets and unmarked planes for the release of terrorists? When this president on his last day in office gave $221 million to the PLO and then $4 million to Palestinians to study climate change? Where was their outrage when this administration, Obama's, thwarted a U.S. international drug operation called Project Cassandra, where Hezbollah, an arm of Iran, was engaging in drug trafficking to the United States and killing Americans, so that Obama could then dance with the devil in Iran and send them $150 billion? Where was Hollywood's outrage when the president allowed the sale of 20% of our uranium, used by others to make nuclear bombs, and Molly 99 for nuclear medical imaging, to be sold to the Russians, with a payback of hundreds of millions going to the Clintons? What was in it for Obama for his silence? And where was the outrage when Obama couldn't stop apologizing for America's alleged sins? Instead, Our president, the man who improves our economy, reduces unemployment, brings the stock market to historic highs, passes tax reform already adding $2 million to our economy, building up the military, eliminates the individual mandate, and in spite of being an accused racist, has brought black unemployment, heightened under 8 years of an African-American president, to record lows. So to the actors and the haters out there, put a lid on it. Real people, not actors, not ideologues, elected Donald Trump president. Real people, the ones who only get one take to provide for their families. Your voices don't compare to the voices of the forgotten men and women who live a normal, hard-working life, who heard Donald Trump and figured they had nothing to lose after Barack Obama, took a chance and bought into his lack of political correctness and his transparency, and are now benefiting from it. And that's my open. Tell me what you think on my Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram, #Judge Jeanine.
Go tonight. The New York Times published an article today called Trump's Lies. Now, you only title your article like that if you're hoping to get it trending on Twitter, right? The crux of this article is to paint Trump as a liar. They drew up a handy-dandy little graph to compare Trump's supposed lies to Obama's rare inaccuracies. 108 lies Trump is told, they claim, in the first year alone, compared to just 18 lies Obama told in his entire 8 years as president. Okay, do you really believe Obama only told 18 lies the entire time he was president in 8 years? Come on, guys, you can do better than that. Obama, they say, rarely told demonstrable untruths as president. Except for, you know, that time he said 37 separate times that under Obamacare, if you like your health insurance plan, you can keep it. Well, 30 million Americans couldn't. Does that count as a lie to each and every person? Or the time Obama said, if you like your doctor, you can keep him. You can't. Or the time Obama said the Obamacare penalty the government forces you to pay if you don't buy their product, that is not a tax, he said. Except the Supreme Court said it is. Yet the New York Times pretends Obama rarely told demonstrable untruths as president. Yeah, because he had his staff to do it for him. Benghazi was the result of a spontaneous protest sparked by a YouTube video, Obama's national security advisor and his Secretary of State told us, both liars. If only Americans weren't so Islamophobic, that terror attack would never have happened. What a lie. Or the time Obama claimed he said Benghazi was a terror attack the day after it happened. He never said that. Obama rarely lied, the New York Times tells us, except for the time he claimed more black men languish in prison than go to college. Actually, 5 times the number of black men serving time in prison attend college. Or the time Obama claimed 90% of the deficit was Bush's fault, when at least half of the enormous deficit was because of Obama's policies, and he knew that. Or the time Obama claimed he never called ISIS the JV team. We've got video. You definitely did say that. And it was stupid, so yeah, you should be embarrassed. Or the time Obama claimed he fired a whole bunch of people at the VA after veterans died waiting for care and secret waiting lists were exposed. Obama did not fire a whole bunch of people. He let one person go. One. As U.S. military veterans died waiting for health care. And these are none of the 18 lies the New York Times counted. And I can think of about 600 more, but I'm on a time limit here. And then we have the so-called lies Trump told, according to the New York Times. Between 3 million and 5 million illegal votes caused me to lose the popular vote, Trump said. According to the New York Times, there's no evidence of illegal voting. But there is evidence of illegal voting, so that's not a lie. Professional anarchists, thugs, and paid protesters are proving the point of the millions of people who voted to make America great again, Trump tweeted. But according to the New York Times, there is no evidence of paid protesters. There is literally video evidence of paid agitators causing violence at Trump campaign rallies and advertisements posted on Craigslist just this month for paid agitators to protest the GOP tax reform, but they only get paid if they risk arrest. So, not a lie. ICE came and endorsed me, Trump said. But according to the New York Times, only its union did. Well, yes, the ICE union did endorse Trump. What did you think he meant? That every single member of ICE came and personally endorsed him? Don't be ridiculous. That is not a lie. Obamacare covers very few people. And remember, deduct from the number all of the people that had great health care that they loved, that was taken away from them. It was taken away from them, Trump tweeted. But according to the New York Times, Obamacare increased coverage by a net of about 20 million. Well, that's inaccurate from the New York Times, and they know it. 20 million is a misleading number. The true number is closer to 14 million, 11.8 million of whom were funneled to Medicaid. The true number is closer to 2.5 million then. Still a 10 million person deficit anyway, since 30 million were kicked off their plans thanks to Obamacare. So what Trump said, not a lie. Democrats purposely misstated Medicaid under the new Senate bill, Trump said, actually goes up. But according to the New York Times, the Senate bill would have cut the program deeply. No, Medicaid funding was not cut under any Republican bill. The rate at which Medicaid funding increases in the next 10 years, that was simply slowed down. Huge difference. What Trump said, not a lie. The Russia story is a total fabrication, Trump said, but according to the New York Times, it's not. Yes, it is. There is no evidence whatsoever that anybody associated with the Trump campaign colluded in any way with the Russians during the election, and you know it. She did the uranium deal, which is a horrible thing, while she was Secretary of State and got a lot of money, Trump tweeted. But according to the New York Times, there's no evidence Hillary Clinton was actively involved or benefited from the deal. Except that her State Department had to vote to approve it. And yeah, let's just ignore the $500,000 Bill Clinton pocketed a few days later. No big deal. Hillary didn't benefit. Give me a break. The worst liar in this whole shebang is the New York Times. And that's my final point. You can reach me on Twitter at Liz_Wheeler. If you liked the show, please send me an email at oann.com/contact. In the meantime, catch us right here tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And until then,